Hi, Victor. What did 1000 to improve on the clause extraction results from the PHYLAC language model in the legal domain?
So, I mean, if you want like the 3-word answer, we just redeveloped a better classification. So, realistically, I'll go into a few of the steps. But yeah, like I said, classification is a big part of these language models, is understanding what things are there for. So we figured, well, if somebody's done some work in the world for decision summaries with PHYLAC, how could we do something better? There are techniques, especially in neural networks and deep learning, where without supervision, so an unsupervised model, you can cluster things. You cluster them based on likeness. That doesn't mean equality, that doesn't mean they're very close to each other, but they're more like each other than they are like something else in that group of things, right? So you want to use that sort of method to help you group the different clauses and the intent of those clauses in a way that suits your workload better. So for this, the technology that is most used to generate all of these, I guess, these representations of the clauses and embeddings of the clauses is BERT. BERT is bidirectional encoder representations for transformers. It's always hard to say, but transformers are highly used in all kinds of recurrent networks as well as sequences, and then also obviously in text because it is a sequence. So BERT comes pre-packaged with a lot of help or understanding therein, and then you can pull language model with BERT. So imagine the pre-trained models come from like the world of like Wikipedia, Yahoo Answers, Reddit, maybe Yelp, maybe IMDb. A lot of people do work on those, especially in academia. And the larger language models are trained on much bigger purposes. But these language models are pretty much like a jack of all trades. They can do pretty good at out of the box understanding of things, but they're not going to nail your problem. So then what you need to do is you need to take what's already wonderful about BERT and those language models, and you need to do a bunch more pre-training. So you need to feed it things that are specific to your domain, which means if you're operating in a specific part of law or reason to have this model for law, you need to have a data set that comprises some of that law. So you want to be able to pre-train clustering through that data set all of the clauses that are in those places, in those pieces of content. So that's the sort of, we leave it and let the machine do its work. But then when you get that result out, you're gonna have a lot of classifications, right? So this is where the art and science sort of meet, is your NLP and data science team for us goes through, sifts through and sorts out like the best performing model or the best 2 or 3 models. And then we engage people with domain knowledge, so legal people. So lawyers, judges, whoever, paralegals, we engage them and we start to go through and understand that this sort of cluster is really all about, let's say, I'm just going to use the PHYLAC model. You've clustered and labeled a bunch. Now, given that you've clustered and labeled, you have examples to show your actual AI program that's going to do the classification. You can take it to your AI program and say, I know that, PHYLAC exists, but what about like PHYLAC plus plus plus? Mm-hmm. And that's sort of what we did, is we went with the PHYLAC plus plus plus. And that's led to us getting to a place where, I'll give you guys a few statistics, but for immigration law, so we talked about PHYLAC actually being good on decisions, and it was trained for immigration law. I don't know, based on their data set, how much error they actually get, but we know that we've improved on the error as well. We've seen that in our use cases, and we end up with 18 total classifications rather than the 5 that PHYLAC has. And I think we ended up right around 4% error. The other one that we can talk about pretty readily is real estate law. And there, for commercial real estate, we've achieved 19 classifications of clauses, and I think 15 for real estate, for residential real estate, with less than 3% error, just because we have a larger and more varied data set in real estate. So there you go, like getting to a place where you really start understanding law is very possible. It just takes some heavy lifting and some work and some very smart people, but you can borrow on some of the work that's been done in the past and build upon it such that you actually get to a place where you probably do a better job of understanding most decisions, most legal cases, and most content than a judge or a lawyer might. Yeah,